Please, Nick, you're trying to take a good idea and ruin it in pursuit of the perfect.
All right.
There will also, as one of your colleagues
Are you an
is fond of saying,
accountant?
I've studied a little bit in my time, but this can be done in a stroke. This can be done tomorrow, and you just put it through, and you just do it through people's pay packets. So you don't have to do anything.
The confidence never disappears. Even when the pressure starts building, the caller keeps speaking as if the solution is already proven. That is what makes this exchange interesting. Nick is not arguing emotionally. He is listening carefully, waiting for the weak point to reveal itself naturally. And the more detailed the plan becomes, the more the conversation starts drifting away from certainty and toward contradiction. What happens next is not a shouting match. It is something quieter, and much harder to recover from once it starts.
John in Golders Green, you're on the radio. Hello, John.
Hello, Nick. In the next 60 seconds, I'm not the Chancellor, I never will be.
Right.
But in the next 60
like
seconds, I'm going to raise 20
Here we
billion
go.
pounds
Come
for
on,
you.
let's do it.
I'm going to raise 20 billion pounds in a responsible way, and I'm going to distribute it in a fair and responsible way as well. And I'm going to do it by 3 one-off taxes on the wealthy individuals and wealthy companies. The first thing I would do is that there are 1.2 million people who earn over £100,000 a year, and I would reduce their personal tax allowance of £12,500 to zero
What?
for the next 2 years, which would cost 20%, £2,500.
Right away, the caller frames the idea as simple and achievable. The pace sounds convincing at first because every figure arrives immediately, without hesitation. But fast answers can sometimes hide fragile assumptions, especially when complicated national policies are reduced to quick mental calculations on live radio.
Per year for the next 2 years, and that would raise £6 billion. The next thing I would do is I would raise...
And that wealthy person, it costs him or her an additional 12.5 a year. Is that what we're saying?
No, £2,500, 20% of that.
They're only paying £2,500 per annum?
No. On the first £12,500 that you earn, it's tax-free. If that became taxable, you would pay 20% tax
I've got
on
you.
it.
I've got you.
So it costs you £2,500.
Sorry, yeah. Okay.
That
You've raised
raises
£6 billion.
Wow. Yes, because £2,500 times 1.2 million, that's £3 billion for the next 2 years. Would take their personal allowance away for the next 2 years.
I agree to that.
The next thing, one off for 2 years. The next thing I would do is any companies earning over £100,000, I would raise the corporate tax rate.
This is the first moment where the energy subtly changes. Nick slows the discussion down and forces the numbers to move step by step instead of rushing forward unchecked. The caller still sounds confident, but now every calculation has to survive direct examination instead of broad political language.
19 to 21%, and that would raise another £6 billion against, again, one-off for 1 year. And the third thing I would do is I would get hold of the utility companies, and I would raise another £6 billion through windfall taxes, which I would distribute to everybody, including the wealthy. And that would mean an extra £2,000 per person, or £2,000 per household. However, for the people earning under £25,000 a year, and there are 4.8 million households, people on PAYE earning less than that, 4 times as many as the wealthy individuals, the 12 billion you raise would be able to give them £2,500, and I would do it.
At this stage, the proposal keeps expanding while the explanations stay unusually compressed. Huge economic changes are being described almost as if they would operate automatically. Nick does not interrupt much here, because sometimes allowing an argument to continue is the fastest way to expose where the pressure points really are.
By raising personal income tax thresholds to £25,000 so that nobody earning £25,000 would pay a penny of income tax for the next 2 years.
One question: you've taken that 2,500 threshold from, but then you're giving it back. You said to everybody with the money you're going to take. Isn't that an extraordinary?
You're giving some of it back. You're giving some of it back because you have to do it in a fair and equitable way. Look, please, Nick, you're trying to take a good idea and ruin it in pursuit of the perfect.
All right.
There will also, as one of your colleagues is fond of saying. I've studied a little bit in my time, but this can be done in a stroke. This can be done tomorrow.
Now the conversation becomes more difficult for the caller to control. The structure of the plan starts overlapping with itself, and Nick notices it immediately. What sounded clean and direct earlier suddenly feels harder to balance once the different parts are connected together in real time.
And you just put it through, and you just do it through people's pay packets. So you don't have to do anything. You just put it through, you just make a change in the coding. There are 30 million people on PAYE. It's really easy to do.
It seems, I mean, the sums add up brilliantly. How you've raised the 6 billion there, the 6 billion of the other. Thank you. John, others will have studied those figures. I'm very grateful. It seems to make a lot of pounds, shillings and pence or cents to me. See what others make of it.
What makes this exchange memorable is not that somebody lost their temper or delivered a dramatic insult. In fact, the opposite is true. The entire conversation stays relatively calm from beginning to end. And that calmness is exactly why the weaknesses become easier to notice. The caller clearly believes the proposal is fair. He believes the wealthy should carry more of the burden and that the system can be adjusted quickly to help lower earners. None of that sounds unreasonable on its own. But Nick keeps returning to the same underlying issue throughout the discussion. Confidence is not the same thing as precision. The deeper the conversation goes, the more the plan depends on estimates that are treated as guaranteed outcomes. Large tax changes are discussed as though they would produce exact results immediately, without side effects, delays, behavioral changes, or economic complications. And once those assumptions start stacking together, the certainty begins looking less stable. What Nick does well here is that he never tries to overpower the caller emotionally. He simply keeps narrowing the focus. One number at a time. One explanation at a time. And when that happens, the audience starts noticing gaps that may have been hidden earlier behind speed and confidence. That is often how strong interviewers operate. They do not always attack directly. Sometimes they just slow the conversation down enough for the logic to test itself naturally. And in this case, once the pace slowed down, the discussion changed completely. What do you think about the caller's proposal? Did the plan actually make practical sense? Or did the numbers start falling apart once the details were examined more carefully? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy calm, intelligent breakdowns of live debates and political arguments, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next analysis.